Hey, welcome back to the Too Fast channel. In today's tabletop review and unboxing, we're going to be taking a look at a pistol sight pusher made by Feagle. This is their model number PST35, and it runs for $59.99, which I have to say right off the bat, it's an excellent price for this item. So, if you install pistol sights for a living, or if you're just installing your own sights, you have uh, several options to install sights into dovetail cuts on your slide. Um, you can either take it to a gunsmith and pay them to install it, or you can do it yourself using a hammer and a brass punch, which in the past has been my preferred method, mainly because I don't install sights that often. So to invest $200 or $300 into a sight pusher I may use once in a while, this doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So I've always kind of gone the barbaric way of using a brass punch and a hammer and hammering my sights in, and it works. But, you know, at the same time, you've got to have a bench vise, and you need some of uh, these hard rubber magnetic, uh, I don't know what you would call these, but they go over the jaws of the vise. So when you clamp the vise onto your slide, you don't mar it up. So this is a hard rubber material. So this allows you to uh, put your slide in a vise without damaging it, so you can hammer the sights in. So you got to have a vise. You got to have those protective jaw inserts. You need a brass punch, preferably, and some sort of a small weighted hammer. And it takes a lot of time and sometimes even a lot of profanity to get those things hammered in. So the sight pusher makes that process very easy. In the past, I've looked at buying sight pushers, $50, $60, $70, and they look like somebody made them in their garage, nuts and bolts. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go that route. That's not a professional looking tool. It's not something I want to do. Spend $50 or $60 on. Now this, on the other hand, this Feagle PST35, which is brand new, it just came out, is a whole nother ballgame. All right, so this is basically how this ships in this brown box. And let's go ahead and let's take a look at what we get in the box. There is a PST35 user manual, and this user manual shows you what comes in the box, how to adjust it, how to remove sights, install sights. You'll also notice, let's see if I've got a better picture. You can see this little illustration right there, hopefully. You can see this illustration. You can even install sights onto your pistol slide while it's still on the lower receiver. I'm not going to demonstrate that. I don't recommend that personally. I think you need to really remove your slide and strip it down, take out the spring and the barrel, and go that route. But you have that flexibility with this particular sight pusher. So that's the user manual, nicely protected in this box right here. Let's go ahead and get this out. This is a hefty item. It is heavy. It is well built. Let's get that out. And there's a Allen key. So that's pretty much everything that's in the box. Let's get that out of the way. All right, so this thing is got some heft to it. It is constructed of 6063 aluminum alloy and 45 gauge steel. You've got a measurement gauge right up here. This particular bar, or this lever, moves this upper piece, and this is what you use to push your sight into the dovetail cut on your slide. This item serves a dual purpose. It actually goes in here and it screws in so you can get some leverage for twisting this. And when you unscrew it and take it out, it is a nut holder, so you can install front sights. Now this, I don't know all of the different flavors of pistols that are out there and what type of size nuts they use. I can tell you that this works excellent on the Glock, which is what I'll be demonstrating today. So dual purpose on this particular tool: front sight installation, rear sight installation. It also comes with this Allen key. This Allen key has two purposes. You can see this bottom base right here, this piece, you can remove. There are two Allen bolts right here. If you remove these two Allen bolts, this whole bottom assembly comes off. This top assembly you can use to install a sight with the slide still on the pistol as shown in the diagram I showed you earlier. This bottom piece with the holes in it, it's designed to be mounted to your bench, so you've got a nice firm surface for working on slides. So you've got dual functionality. Of course, if this is bolted down to your bench, you would have to unbolt it, take it off, flip it over, and take out those Allen bolts if you wanted to remove this top section. So nice flexibility there. This is a solid black anodized finish. The sides, which is really nice, you've got these knurled knobs on the side, and you've got these other hex screws, which are spring-loaded. They control these two metal bars that clamp your slide into place. The inside of these has a rubberized material on it. The bottom right here has rubberized material, and although you may not be able to see it, right back up here is also rubberized material. So your slide, when it's in this pusher, is protected from any types of scrapes by this rubberized material. So that is another positive. Now, going back to the bolts that are on here, these bolts allow you to adjust these clamping portions at an angle. So a lot of slides are the same width all the way across. Well, let's use this as an example. You can see that there's no taper really to this slide. So when you go to clamp this in, you're clamping to a straight horizontal surface. But there are slides on the market where there might be a taper where it might get wider near the rear. So you need the flexibility to be able to adjust the angle of clamping force that these apply to your slide to compensate for a non-horizontal slide. So if you've got a slight angle to the slide, you can adjust these bolts and adjust these clamping surfaces. So again, excellent thought put into that. The large wheel down here, basically, if we do this, lowers and raises this platform. So you can get your slide on here and you can raise it up so your sight is your slide is positioned correctly here. So when you start moving this forward, like so, you'll be able to catch the tip of your sight and push it in. So you've got this vertical adjustment and you've got these horizontal adjustments here. So uh, that is excellent as well. From my initial testing, I have used this. I have a G19 slide on a polymer 80 that a Gen 3 G19 slide, which was fully built. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you would have seen that. But I took it all apart and I used this sight pusher to remove the sights. And I'm going to reinstall the sight using this so you can see how this works in the video. All right, so let me grab a few things and we'll be right back and we'll give this a test and see how well a sight installation works. Okay, we're back here. I put down some cardboard so doing this doesn't mar up my video display area. Normally I'd transition over to the workbench, but it's really messy over there, so I think I can get this accomplished done in the display area here. So, like I mentioned, this is my G19 slide. This is made by Wolf. I've done a few reviews of that. I have taken the barrel and the spring out. The red dot sight has been removed, and the front and rear sights have also been removed. So what we're going to be installing today is these Ameriglo suppressor height tritium sights. Again, I did videos on installing these previously, and that's going to be our project, is to get these installed. So you can see with the Ameriglo, maybe you can see that the camera wants to focus on it. You can see the little nut on there, which works perfect with this tool. All right, so what we're going to need to do now, mind you, this is only the second time I've used this, so I'm definitely not an expert at this point. First time I used it was to remove these sights, just to kind of test it and get familiar with it somewhat. And we're going to push from the right to the left because I pushed it out this way. And actually, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take this off camera to make sure I can get it aligned. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the vertical level, and I'm going to get the slide positioned so this device can push the sight into the dovetail slot on the back of the slide. So I really need to set that in my lap because I can't see too well at this angle with the camera right next to me. So I'll be right back. Okay, so it took me a few minutes to get this adjusted correctly. I found that if I get the sight started on the slide, loosen everything up, and then slide the slide with the sight into the sight pusher, and then tighten everything down. That works best. If you put the slide in, you really can't put the sight in. So I made the adjustments. Now, since I have an RMR cut on this slide and the cover piece for it, I don't have anything pushing down on the top of the slide. So what's holding the slide in place are these two pieces. If you are going to do this on your own slide using this pusher tool, you should have a cover on your RMR cutout so you can get some pressure from the top. Hopefully, in this situation, it's not an issue, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I've got this horizontal pushing mechanism. I've got it right just above the edge of the sight. So I'll be pushing just above the edge. So I should be able to push this completely on to the slide without any issue. These are tightened down. The two bolts on the side that compensate for tapered slides, these are both tightened down equally, so I've got equal clamping force on the slide there. So all we need to do is insert this tool so we can get some leverage and start twisting. Now, you may have to put a little bit more force if you're doing this for the first time. Obviously, I've already had these sights in the slide, but I am having to put some muscle into it. And this would definitely be better if this was mounted to my workbench, which in the future, I'll probably find a place to mount this, because holding it and doing this. All right, we're almost there. I'm gonna take this into my lap so the last couple of turns I can get it perfectly aligned. So my apologies for taking this off camera, but I got to put it up to my face so I can see what's going on here. And there we go. So we now can loosen this up and lower our platform. And there we go. And you can see we've got it installed perfectly. And did have to put a little bit of muscle into it because these dovetail cuts, these sights fit really tight. You can see, and it also didn't mar up the sight. Any marring that might be on there was due to me using a brass punch and a hammer when I originally installed these. A lot of profanity needed for that installation. So yeah, the way this backing piece right back here where my finger is with this rubber, it would clamp down on the top if I had a cover on here, but this just obviously is not designed to deal with a cut like this. So if the cover was on there, I could get more top force pushing down on it. So something to keep in mind if you decide to opt for purchasing this. All right, so you can see that that was fairly easy, a lot easier than using a brass punch and a hammer. No profanity necessary. Let's move on to the front sight. We'll use the included tool just to make sure that it works. Should work because I used it to take the sight off, so no reason why it wouldn't work to put it back on. All right, let's And you can see that it is magnetic, so it will hold your screws. You know, when I originally was looking for a tool, you'd be surprised. A lot of these tools, they're not magnetic. So you got to fumble trying to get this little screw down into the slide. I mean, to me, it absolutely is a must that it needs to be magnetic. All right, so you can see that it kind of sits down in there a little bit recessed, and it is magnetic. So, because we've got to get it down in there, and doing the front sights on Glocks is not, it's not the easiest. You've got to have the right tool for it, and a magnetic uh, nut driver is an absolute must for this. And you can see that it clears. It's not too big to where it won't fit down in there. Some of these nut drivers are way too big, so you can't get the nut screw down properly, but you can see that it works just fine. So yeah, so that's the installation of dovetail sights on a G19 Gen 3 pistol slide using the Feagle sight pusher, the PST35. Measurements on this, for reference, are 7.7 inches by 1.9 by 4.3 inches. I did not weigh it, but it is heavy. It probably weighs a couple of pounds because of the aluminum and steel construction on this. Um, so my initial thoughts after removing a pair of sights and installing a pair of sights is, well, right off the bat for $59.99, this was a no-brainer buy for me. Um, Although I may only use it once in a while, it's not like I dropped $300 on one. Similar pushers that are designed like this are $200, $300, $400. Um, I don't see any flaws with this um, at this point. Having used it twice now, it does work as intended. It does have a lot of flexibility for different types of slides. These sights I just installed were suppressor height slides, so there's plenty of clearance for taller sights. If you're installing standard height sights, um, you're good to go. But if you're opting for suppressor height sights, you'll know that this will work for those as well. You do have the flexibility of installing sights on your pistol without removing the slide from the frame if you so desire, and you do have the option of bolting this down to your workbench for a better working surface, for a better working area. I do recommend bolting this down. Obviously, you saw me do it on my display table here, holding it with my hands, so it is doable holding it with your hands, but it'd be more comfortable if it was bolted down. Just a little bit of fiddling to get the sight or to get the slide properly aligned and get it clamped down. Um, and it is held in place fairly well. It does, in my case, it moved around a little bit because I don't have the top of the slide up against this piece right here because of the RMR cutout. If you didn't have an RMR cutout, the top of your slide would be up against this rubber piece. So it'd be firm up there, firmly against that, and you'd have these two clamps firmly holding it in place, and it wouldn't move around at all. These knurled knobs and these screws right here, they're spring loaded, just like this screw down here. They have a spring on it. Nice anodized black finish. And yeah, that's about going to wrap up all my talking points on this. I don't really have any other comments. The instruction manual details how to use this and shows you some illustrations on how to install sites. I didn't need to really reference that, but I did read through it. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this video on the Feagle sight pusher, the PST35. I will put links to their Amazon listing for this and their main website. In closing, this is not the only Feagle product that I own. Since you've watched the video this far, if you continue watching, I'll show you some of the other Feagle products that I own and I currently use on my rifles. So I'll clear this and I'll come back. And if you want to see those products, just keep watching. Hey, thanks for sticking around at the end of the video. This is just a few of the other Feagle items that I own that are mounted on different pistols and rifles. And I actually even own more. I own a couple other Feagle items, but I figured, well, this will just be a quick showcase of some of the stuff that I'm using, and not an in-depth review or anything like that. You can find all of these products on their website if you want to read about them. But over here on the right, if we start over here, this is the HL20. This is the Feagle 400 lumen tactical light. Obviously, this is primarily designed for use on pistols. I use this on a rifle. Uses two CR123 batteries, similar to other pistol lights on the market. Not a quick release. It uses you can use a shell casing to screw this down. Doesn't have a quick release on it, but this is a very nice flashlight, very bright, 400 lumens. I could use this on a pistol, but I actually use it on a rifle. One of my rifles, I run this red dot sight on. I use this with the Feagle flip to the side 3x magnifier, which isn't shown here, but this is the Feagle V30 red dot sight. Comes with a low-rise mount and a high-rise mount. Again, the high-rise mount is not a quick release. You got to use kind of a Torx bit to install it. A typical red dot sight has T1 type turret caps. You can take the cap off and use the notch on there to make windage and elevation adjustments. Uses a CR 2032 battery, I believe, button cell battery. It comes with a kill flash, and it comes with flip caps for the front and the rear. I don't believe you can put the flip cap on if you have the kill flash on. You got to take the kill flash off. Some screws on the bottom. You can remove the Feagle riser and go with the low riser if you want, but I use it with the high riser. Matches up perfectly with their flip the side 3x magnifier, or it's a 3.5x magnifier. I don't remember. This is the Feagle V30 red dot sight. Oh, I forgot to say. If you want to see, the emitter is at the 5 o'clock. It's a very low profile emitter, so it does not block your view if you're doing 1/3 co-witness. So very nice little red dot sight for the money. Over here is the, oh, what's the model number? This is the WL25. This is a rifle flashlight. Looks like your typical tactical flashlight. It has a integrated Picatinny mount, kind of somewhat of a quick release, not really, but you don't really need a tool to take that off. It comes, you can use it like this with the clicky push tail cap on it, or you can opt to go with the Picatinny mount pressure switch. So you've got momentary on and click on and off with this, and it replaces the push button tail cap. Nice little setup right there. Snaps onto a Picatinny rail. Good buy for the money. Comes with two 18650 rechargeable batteries and a battery charger. So this is just a few of the items that I own from Feagle that I use on my rifles. And if you want to check them out, see anything else about these particular items, you can visit their website, and the link will be in the description. Again, thanks for watching my video, and hope you enjoyed this presentation of some of the Feagle products.